What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM. It's Monday. It's 8:30 in the morning here at Site B. It's the 9th day of January, the first week of Pirate Radio, OpenDnD, down with Wizards of the Coast here at the OGGM Adventures. And I'm joined by Steve, who's freaking out because it's raining. It's raining here at Site B, and Steve does not like the rain. It's time to take a look at all the tabletop role-playing game. Wait for it. Bundles! Yes, it's bundle time. All the sales and freebies and charities that are doing PDF stuff this week. Remember, as always, when I talk about these bundles, if you do decide to choose to download one of them, check out for viruses and malware before you open it up. Also, in regards to the charity bundles, again, and I'm surprised. I'm still surprised, especially now. I haven't gotten in trouble for this. Rather than giving money to a bundle to support a charity, maybe just directly give the money to the charity. Now, of course, going forward, I do have to remind you this is a monetized video, so you might see commercials. If you don't like ads in your YouTube, I'm letting you know now. Also, we cannot discuss this topic without discussing the recent problematic release of the OGL 1.1 and the statements HASBRO is making about independent role-playing game companies and third-party role-playing games, which is a very frightening time if you are a creator in the industry. As apparently they're going after everybody. Yay. Thank you, HASBRO. Am I selling my stock? Eventually, after I let them know how upset I am. But anyways, a lot of these sales are going to be 5e sales, including there are several that are just known as FU Wizards of the Coast sales right now. So let's take a look at what's going on and if there's any on the list that I missed. And as always, if I think you should check it out, I'll post a link. And if I think it's not worth your time, I'll make fun of it. First off, the freebies for the week. All of these will be found on drive-thru unless specifically otherwise, and all of these are PDFs unless specified otherwise. Starting with drive-thru, Beatbox Publishing has released a second edition of Dragon Slayers. This rule-light fantasy RPG is a unique step dice system designed for heroic power levels with fast freeform character creation and balance between all character types. Dragon Slayers from Beatbox Publishing. Free Radical Press has presented Danger Zone, bringing us an Air War 4 dogfighting role-playing game. Players take on the roles of hotshot pilots in the modern day or near future settings as you protect the skies from the cockpit of your jet. They spelled warfare wrong. They spelled it Air Warfade dogfighting. WARFADE. It's Air Warfare. Unless Warfade is a brand new thing. So if you've ever wanted a role-playing game based upon, I don't know, Top Gun? Biojacked from Joshua Flanagan is a sci-fi biopunk game of biomods and genetic manipulation. Choose from over 80 biomodifications to create your unique character in a futuristic world of biogenetic manipulation, which is a far more likely cyberpunk future we'll have than, cybernetic. And as long as we're talking about modern day games, there's a bunch of new 3D printed ones. Twin Engine Publishing has released STL files featuring 11 different modern day type miniatures for your 3D printer of choice. And these is free. Kongenstein Homebrews has released the Field Guide to Oderon third-party source book. This book features 2 new corporations, new mechs, new talents, and more to come for the Oderon game system. I guess it's a giant robot. Oh, it's for Lancer. Why don't you just say that, dude? Field Guide to Oderon is for Lancer. Lancer is one of the many OGL games you can still play that will not be affected. Thanks, Steve. I told you he's freaking out because of the wind or the rain. Stupid cat. Yeah, figure I have the only cat in the world that's afraid of the rain. I got to give him some catnip. Okay, so let's read that again. Yes, Kongenstein Homebrews. Oh, God, I hate this computer. Support the OGGM so I can buy a new computer. For Lancer. Old School Role Playing has a pair of adventures for the Zephyrus engine. The first is called An Unexpected Passenger, and the second is called Ignition. Both of these are for the Zephyrus engine, which is basically the current version of Traveler. So if you're looking for some old school Traveler type role playing, there you go. Gildor Games is another adventure out for Elemental. This one is called The Legends of Gildor series, Tower of the Vampire, which says party going off after a vampire. For Ironsworn Starforged, we have Starsmith Mecha Mercs, an expansion to Starforge that adds mecha chassis plus weapons and other giant robot type fun. Over at Dungeon Masters Guild, the Quick Fix Club released an adventure called The Eye of Pines, a 0-level adventure for 5e that takes about 12 to 18 hours and basically gets a bunch of 0-level characters through a grinder to reach first level, similar to grinders and funnels in DCC. Of course, this is on Dungeon Masters Guild, and as of the 13th, everything on Dungeon Masters Guild will be affected by the new OGL. So I would highly suggest not investing in anything on Dungeon Masters Guild until they decide how they're going to react to the OGL. There's an adventure called The Frost Giant's Daughter, an 8th level adventure inspired by the Robert E. Howard short story. A bunch of people are going off to the snow to deal with a frost giant. Again, this is a 5e adventure, so I wouldn't invest in it till after the 13th because of the new OGL, and the individual who wrote this might have to take it down. We have a Moon Sun Rising is called from Moon Sun Rising, we have an adventure called The Empress Strikes Back, which is adventure about people going to retrieve a pair of bracelets stolen from a mysterious witch. Again, this is a 5th edition adventure, so yeah, don't take it till after. In fact, I'm just going to say now, anything I read from Drive-Thru or DM's Guild that is 5e, I would highly recommend not investing in until we find out how Drive-Thru and DM's Guild are going to respond to the new OGL in regards to third-party 5e content. They may not be able to sell them. You may not be able to buy them. Jason Mead has got some Eberron stuff out called Stokes Irregular. It'll be interesting to see how OGL 1.1 affects Eberron, since Keith still technically owns it. There's a adventure from Peter Kuhn called Look, a Tavern. It's an adventure that features 6 taverns, maps, NPCs, menus, that's always fun, tokens, and everything else you need to drop a unique tavern into your game at a moment's notice. This sounds like it's system neutral, so you should still be able to purchase it. For those of you who feel there is a lack of exploration rules in the current D20 system, Bjorn Sundal has released Bjorn's Guide to Mountaineering. This book expands on the existing rules to add challenges and detail to climbing and mountain cave exploration, in addition to new skills and equipment. Yeah, I know it's not soda, but I'm trying to get them to sponsor me. And for those of you who want to run a very high magic game, the lack of pricing on magic items can be a frustrating barrier for worlds where enchanted gear is so common it's traded often. Is there? Yeah, I guess there isn't a buy magic item stuff in the 5e DM's guide. Is there? No, I've bought magic items, so I know you can. Anyways, this is called The Tome of Treasures. It's from Samuel Gibber, and it's a system to price magic items, covering items from the core rules all the way up to Xanthars and Tasha's. Of course, this is a 5e product, which means after the 13th, the guy's probably going to have to take it down, so don't buy it. Sorry, Samuel. Apologies to all of you who have recently put 5e content and third-party OGL 1.0A content on the market, because Wizards of the Coast is trying to take away your livelihood. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. The leaks have been shown to be possibly true based upon what Tanker's Tavern showed us last night. But even if the leaks aren't true, it has the general feeling that this is what Wizards of the Coast is planning to do with third party. So all these people who have made third party 5e OGL 1.1 product over the past year are going to be affected by this. So yeah, sucks to be you guys right now. I'm terribly sorry. The best thing we can do is to reach out to Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro and let them know how disappointed we are in this choice of theirs and how we very much would like them to keep the OGL open so guys like Samuel Gibber can continue to make product. And as always, we have a whole bunch of free maps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 new maps available on drive-through. Maps are generic, so the OGL 1.1 can't go after them. And on Dungeon Masters Guild, we have, of course, the usual batch of new classes. We have a Barbarian, Artifactor, Bard, Warlock, Ranger, Monk, another Barbarian, and another Barbarian subclass build for 5e. But of course, all these individuals are going to have to remove these on the 13th when the new OGL goes live. So again, I'm sorry, all of you, Dan Newton, Ellis Miller, and the rest of you. It's wonderful that you're making these maps available and these third-party classes available. But again, you're going to be, everything on Dungeon Masters Guild is going to be affected by the new OGL. So I would not do anything until Dungeon Masters Guild responds. God, it feels awful having to say this. I mean, I don't think people realize how much of livelihood this is being affected by this OGL nonsense, if even 1/10 of it is true. It's just awful. And I'm usually the first person who will defend Wizards of the Coast choices, going, well, it's their game and they can do whatever they want. And yes, it is their game. They can do whatever they want. But you know what? You are in a position to tell them to go to bloody heck. There are petitions, there are letters, there are websites. They're doing the survey right now for OpenDnD. You could comment on the survey on that about how disappointed you are. You could reach out directly to the CEO of Hasbro. I have posted his email and let him know. All right, bundles and sales. Drive-Thru is having a sale for over 700 products, including Cyberpunk Red, Warhammer, Fantasy Roleplay, Traveler, Vampire the Masquerade, Thirsty Sword Legends, Fallout. This is a great chance to pick up a bunch of new systems if you're interested in them. I took a look at it yesterday. It's at least 12 pages. These are mostly PDFs. Some of the hardbounds are on sale, but it's a great time to jump on a new system or pick up a system you've always been curious with because they're on sale for 77% off. And here's a company that isn't being affected by the OGL 1.1. Chaosium, the creators of the world's most popular role-playing game, Call of Cthulhu, has got a brand new collection of stuff for their content creator program up. A bundle is up on the Chaosium site, I believe. No, it's on Drive-Thru. It's the 2022 collection from Chaosium, featuring 7 new Call of Cthulhu products. So, hey, it's a good time to jump on the Call of Cthulhu Chaosium bandwagon since they're not affected by this. And that's $11. There is a ATCL release bundle featuring a collection of resources for Altair Clandestine. 60 of these, including random generators, adventure hooks, random tables, and tons of resources for the Game Master. This is a $53 bundle. It's on Drive-Thru, and it features 1, 2, 3. These are all D100 random tables. Like this one's a D100 random side quest, D100 Cyberpunk Corporations. So if you're looking for just a ton of random tables to generate stuff, this is all available for $53 on Drive-Thru. Fugu Design has a collection of templates to help professional-looking game products. This is $16. So these are templates you can download to, I guess, make your stuff look better. I mean, these are a lot of these things you can get on free online. So And over at Dungeon Masters Guild, we have the Untold Subclasses brings us Arcane Archetype Volume 1, featuring 5 subclasses for spellcasters in Dungeons & Dragons 5e, which, of course, we can't make or use today until we know what's going on with the OGL on the 13th. So Untold Subclasses, your amazing collection of new classes for 5e. Totally sorry. I highly suggest you remove your content, update it to reflect the OGL 1.1 if you want to continue to make product for Wizards of the Coast after the 13th. And if you don't, then I appreciate you should probably reach out to them and let you know that you are disappointed in their choices. Now, charity bundles. Of course, and when dealing with charity bundles, I do recommend that, as always, instead of picking up a bundle, maybe just give the money directly to the charity if you support them. And I'm making a lot of personal statements regarding the status of the OGL and offering a lot of recommendations. Remember, these are personal recommendations based upon my personal opinion. I am not an attorney. I am not a business manager. I am not somebody who's going to be directly affected by this. Lots of my friends are going to be directly affected by this. And these are my personal opinions. So do not take anything I say with a grain of salt. This is not legally binding advice. You want to keep making stuff for OGL 1.1 and you feel you can continue to support yourself under the new management, feel free to do so. If you want to stand up against the OGL 1.1 like I am, feel free to do so. But at the end of the day, this is just my personal opinion. This is not advice. It is not legally binding. I have no idea what I'm talking about. As I am repeatedly told, I'm an idiot. So yeah, take anything I say with a grain of salt. Bundle of Holding has a bundle for Wicked Ones, the reverse the normal fantasy adventure. This is a Forge in the Dark game where players are in charge of creating and defending their dungeon, recruiting hench monsters, craft traps, and discovering hidden treasures to fend off heroes. So if you're familiar with the video game Dungeon Builder or stuff like that, where you're the bad guy and you're building your dungeon to keep the good guys out, this is a collection of tabletop role-playing game product for this. It's $13 for the bundle. You can get it on Bundle of Holding, and it goes to support the Diana Jones Award for Emerging Designers. Game Design's Workshop 2000 AD's bundle on Holding, featuring all the original Games Workshop sci-fi stuff for the RPG 2300 AD, 80s classic role-playing game based upon the Judge Dredd universe. So if you're looking for stuff based in the Judge Dredd universe, if you still remember Judge Dredd and you want to pick up an alternative science fiction game, $17 is the pledge for this, and it goes to support Direct Relief, which means a large percentage of the sales will go directly to Game Design Workshop creators. Evil Hat has got a whole bunch of stuff up for sale for Fate. Fate Core, Fate Accelerator, and Fate Condensed, including things like Worlds of Adventures, Fate of Cthulhu, Tachyon Squadron, Fate Worlds, Kaiju Incorporated, Spirit of the Century, and Young Centurions. These are all Fate-based games. $10 is the most popular pledge, and it goes to support the Diana Jones Award for Emerging Designers. I think you've all heard my story about Fate, right? I mean, to this day, I still do not know how this game works. I don't know if you remember me talking about Fate in the past. We were in a Savage Worlds game. The DM switched because the DM was running Savage Worlds left, and he handed the game over to another DM. The DM decided to convert the system to Fate. So he took all our characters, and then a week later, we sat down, and they started playing Fate with all their characters. I showed up like 20 minutes late, so I was handed my character sheet, which had been converted to Fate, with no explanation to how Fate works. Everybody else at the table was just apparently understood it, I guess. And I didn't understand anything was on the table. All I knew was I just handed these weird looking dice. And when things were happening, I was told to roll. I'm like, roll what? What does this mean? So, the DM said, and the DM never offered me an explanation, and nobody at the table offered me any explanation. So when it came time for my detective character to do something, I'm just like, I rolled the dice and I was like, saw, the slash and the thing. And I was like, I succeed. And, they didn't tell me what the dice rolls meant. They didn't tell me what the skills meant. They didn't tell me how the game worked. So the second time a situation came up with I had to roll dice, I'm like, look, I don't know what I'm doing here. I rolled the dice. Did I succeed? And I'm just looking at the guy and I'm like, because Fate is all about open-ended communication. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'm just going to assume I succeed until you tell me otherwise. So for the rest of the 30, 40 minutes that we played the game, every time my character do something, I just rolled the dice and said, yeah, I succeed. And I find the clue. Yeah, I succeed. And I knock the guy out because you're not telling me otherwise. And then as I left, I'm like, dude, I do not understand the changes. I don't know how this game works. Let me know. And he's like, oh, he's not telling me how it works. We come back a second week. He's still running. I'm handed the character sheet back. And I'm like, I do not understand a single thing on this sheet. So I'm going to run my character like I ran him in Savage Worlds because God help me, I actually understood Savage Worlds. And, for the whole 2 hours, I was just like, dude, you know what? It's like there was like a secret club was formed. And because I was 20 minutes late, nobody wanted to tell me the secret rules of the secret club. Fate is a game you learn by watching other people's play. Nobody expects to tell you how it works. I know I went off a bit on a rant there. I apologize. But anyways, there's a bundle of Fate available for $10. There's a 13th Age bundle available from Peregrine Press. They've got a new edition coming out, and the bundle of holding has the old stuff in it. It has all the old PDFs for all the old 13th Age stuff, the core rule book, the bestiaries, the rules, the adventures, the loot books, pretty much everything that was made for 13th Age. So if you want to get all the stuff under the old rules just in time for them to change their rules, and let's face it, they're going to have to change them again because the original game was vaguely based upon the OGL and vaguely based upon 4th edition. A lot of people say 13th Age was a much better version of 4th. And if you ever really were interested in the 4th edition engine, you probably should have played 13th Age. And I loved a lot of the ideas of 13th Age. $25 for this bundle, and it goes to support the Diana Jones Award for Emerging Designers. The Blades in the Dark bundle of holding has been extended another 2 weeks. It's $13, and you get all the Blades in the Dark core rule books. You get all the Blades in the Dark adventures. Oh, this rain. I'm allergic to rain. God damn it. I can just feel the allergies. $13 goes to support the Diana Jones Emerging Designer Program. Want some old school fun? Steve Jackson's Games has a fantasy trip bundle up featuring one of the company's first fantasy role-playing games dating back to the 70s. There's a new edition of the game from Steve Jackson, and he himself has created this bundle, including solo adventures, labyrinth planners, deluxe character juniors, fantasy trip companions, all sorts of stuff for the fantasy trip. It's $15 for this collection of PDFs. Hey, here's a game that won't be affected by the new OGL. It's a great time to remember GURPS and jump back on the GURPS bandwagon. Everybody remember GURPS? GURPS was the #1 selling game for a while back in the late 80s. And, I do have a personal stake in that since I play tested and wrote a bunch of GURPS games. So it's a great time maybe to jump back on the Steve Jackson Games Fantasy Trip GURPS bandwagon. Anyways, this is a $15 bundle featuring everything for Steve Jackson's Games, the Fantasy Trip, and it goes to support the Diana Jones Award for Emerging Designer. Yes, I know I'm doing this a lot. And there's a free bundle for Free League stuff. We've got Vaesen and the Forbidden Lands. Vaesen is the award-winning Nordic horror RPG set in a dark folklore-inspired Scandinavia. And Forbidden Lands is their take on a adventure-y fantasy-type world. Forbidden Lands is beautiful. I would get Forbidden Lands simply for the map and how beautiful it is. In fact, the map is behind me. I've heard a lot of good things about Vaesen. Free League is definitely one of the companies I am supporting during this OGL nonsense. Their stuff tends to be a little pricey, but it's amazing. Anyways, it's $18 gets you both of the stuff for the games. It goes to support Direct Relief, which means it's about 20% of all sales goes directly to them. Goodman Games has some stuff for Dungeon Crawl Classic. We've got 13 products up, including Dungeon Crawl Classic core rulebook and dungeon screens, a massive number of adventures, plus licensed campaign settings like Lankmar. This is a $18. It goes to support children's hospitals, and it features a lot of stuff for Dungeon Crawl Classic. So look at this. Yeah. I think these are all PDFs, but we will check. This is probably one of the only two I'd recommend for this week. The other one being the Free League game. Again, as always, if you download any of these PDFs, check them for viruses. And in regards to the charities, if you want to support Children's Hospitals or the Diana Jones Award for Emerging Designer Program, maybe just directly donate to that charity instead. My recommendation for this week is the Free League Vastin and Forbidden Lands bundle and the Steve Jackson Games bundle and the 13th Age bundle. I will include links for all of these in the description down below. Woo! And of course, Trollords Games is having a huge sale of all their 5e stuff. Low Magic Fantasy is having a huge sale of all their 5e stuff, both on drive-through. And I have a feeling before the week is over, we will have a lot of other companies who have 5e third-party product jumping out of the pool while they can, as more and more of the industry stands up against this new OGL. I've only aware of 2 people in the entire planet so far who are indirectly connected to the hobby who are saying this is a good thing. And I expect before this week is over, they will receive both those individuals will receive some very negative responses. Sadly, Critical Role has not stepped up and said anything yet, which I think a lot of people were hoping they would, which sucks for all the Critical Role fan base. So many of them has made so much stuff over the past years for Critical Role, and OGL 1.1 goes directly after all those people: cosplayers, artists, musicians, people who make fan fiction, people who make product based upon, the designs in Critical Role or Dungeons and Dragons designs. They're all falling under the new OGL that if they make money off of that, they have to, sign up. So hopefully Critical Role will say something, but sadly they haven't yet. And again, this is my own personal opinion regarding the OGL. Please do not take anything I say to heart. But if you are upset by the OGL changes, feel free to reach out to Hasbro directly, sign the various petitions that are being circulated, check out all the information that's being made available to you regarding this situation. It's all free online. Several people of us in the community are trying to make the information available and let you know how it's going to affect you directly or indirectly, including myself. But let's face it, of the people in the industry who talk about this, I'm probably the worst because, I rarely know what I'm saying. The words that come out of my mouth here usually sound like gobbledygook, and I'm drinking Rockstar because I'm trying to get them to support me. Support me, Rockstar! I will sell out. That's called subliminal suggestion. I drink it, and then I ask them to support me. Yeah. That's it for today. I will attach the links down below. If any of those sound like a PDF bundle you are interested in, run, don't walk, and let them know the OGL sent you. That's me, OGGM. God, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's the rain, which sets off my allergies, which makes my brain go even smaller, which is why I say again, I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me. But if you appreciate the nonsense that comes out of my mouth, let me know. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to the OGGM Adventures, please take a moment to subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. It helps me out immensely. Remember, our goal for 2023 is 1 billion subs by January 1st, 2024. I doubt we'll reach it, but it's good to have a goal. This is my job, and my job is going to be affected by this new OGL nonsense. Hi, Steve. Apparently, Steve is upset because it's raining, and he thinks he has to protect me from the rain. If you want to support the OGGM Adventures in 2023, there's several ways you can do it. You can support me by buying me a coffee on Ko-Fi. help me buy a new computer since this one is a piece of crap. Donate to my Patreon. Use super chats in the chat. Buy my merch. All my merch on Big Geek Emporium is marked down to 35 cents to the end of this week, and then I will be removing it and replacing it all with system neutral documentation. So if you want to get some minions for your D&D or other game, head on over to Big Geek Emporium and check out my merch. Link down below. Also, my stickers are up on my YouTube store. Great chance to pick up some of my merch and support me. So please, if you have a spare nickel, dime, remember this is how I make my living right now, and it's going to be a lot harder. So, hey-o! Oh, look. We've got some comments. Let's read them. DM Kurt. If you buy a PDF and print it, you still have a hard copy, so it might still be worth it to buy one now. Yes, it would be, but I like them to do the work. But it wouldn't be a shock to me if things get pulled from your library at drive-through role-playing game. Yes, if you have OGL stuff on your library that you haven't downloaded yet, download it now, because under the new OGL, if it goes live, and even if 1/10 of it is true, they can still go into it and use the magic of the interweb to tell drive-through, take that down. If Hasbro backtracks, it still shows their intent for future maneuver hostiles to creators and customers. They haven't said anything yet. I would think it's Monday. It's 9 o'clock here at Site B. Stock market's open at 6 a.m. So you would think by now they would have reached out to stockholders like myself and said this is what they're doing, but they haven't yet. Mysteriously, they are saying nothing, which is not a good thing. And the old geek says Chaosium gets most of my monies nowadays. Yes. We know that I am a huge Call of Cthulhu shill when I'm not being a Wizards of the Coast shill. So I have nothing wrong with saying yes. Now is a great time to jump on the Chaosium Call of Cthulhu bandwagon, one of the best role-playing games ever written. Now is a great time to jump back on GURPS. And of course, since I have a personal interest in the GURPS because I wrote several of the product, don't know what's going to happen with Paizo or, or Troll Lords, or I think Troll Lords are okay. They keep posting they're okay. Goodman Games, Green Ronin, Mutants and Masterminds. How is that going to be affected? One of the very first OGL games, one of the most successful OGL games. So it's a scary time. And it's really hard to make any commentary out this until we have the rest of the information. So again, don't listen to me because I don't know what I'm talking about. The information is out there for you to check out. Links down below once this goes to print. That's it for me. We will have more news, I'm sure, as the day goes on. But now I need to go make sure Steve doesn't break something. Everybody say goodbye, Steve. Goodbye, Steve. Talk to you later, losers. Get off my land. I love you.